Hello and welcome to another episode of Millennial Economics. Today we're going to talk about why the rich can live more frugally than the poor. Let's get right into it. All right, well, just to start, again, I think this is an interesting topic, and it's something that I have been thinking about over the past couple weeks and couple months. I just want to put some caveats in place, though. This definitely is not a blanket statement, right? So and we'll say poor, we'll say folks with less money can also live very frugally, and we've seen that if you spent any time on YouTube or listening to podcasts. I mean, it is certainly very possible. And on the flip side of that, the more wealthy can certainly not live very frugally, and we obviously know that even if you make $1 million a year, if you're spending $1 million, you can still be living paycheck to paycheck. So I just wanted to get a few of those things in place first before we really dive in. All right, the first way that I've observed that the wealthy can live more frugally than the poor is the ability to purchase quality goods. Okay, so when you think about a furniture purchase, right? If you don't have very much money and you need a piece of furniture, oftentimes you're going to go to maybe a discount store or, maybe a store that has furniture that's less affordable or more affordable. So let's just take IKEA, for instance. You can go to IKEA, you can go buy a very cheap bookcase, right? And that bookcase might be $50, $60, $100. However, because that bookcase is more affordable, the build quality and the things that it's built with might not be of the best quality. So that bookcase might last you a year, and then you have to purchase another one, and then you have to purchase another one. So instead of buying one bookcase that might last you a lifetime or multiple generations, you're going to continually have to buy these bookcases because you didn't have enough money to purchase the one that might be of higher quality. Let's take what the wealthy might do, for instance. So instead of going to IKEA, maybe they do a bunch of research and they find a builder locally there or maybe internationally that hand makes a bookcase from the finest materials, and they purchase that, and maybe they pay $1,000 for this bookcase, right? However, this bookcase lasts them 10, 20, 30 years, or maybe it's one of these pieces that they're able to pass down to their children. So all in, they've purchased a $1,000 bookcase. They've spent $1,000 on this piece of furniture that's going to last them maybe many lifetimes. To whereas somebody that didn't have the money or the funds to be able to do that purchased a bookcase that they will have to buy every year, right? And their total investment, yes, initially might only be $100, $200, $300, but over the course of a lifetime, they will have bought more bookcases than the wealthier person, and at the end of the day have spent more money. We can also use the same example with clothing. And clothing, not so much as furniture, but if you think about it, you buy a piece of clothing that's cheaper, maybe it wears out in a year or a season, right? You buy something for the summer, it wears out by the end of the summer. The wealthier person might be able to buy a piece of clothing that, yes, costs maybe 2, 3, 4 times as much. However, they're able to use it for 10 years, right? So the initial investment from the person that bought the cheaper clothing, yes, was smaller than the wealthier person, but how many times will they have to restock their clothing because they decided to make a purchase that was something of less quality? And then lastly, when we think about vehicles, right? So the wealthier person, they might be able to do a little bit more research, buy a gently used vehicle that's very reliable. We'll take Toyota for example. Maybe they buy a Toyota, and yes, that Toyota costs more than the maybe 15-year-old, used brand that's not as reliable that the poorer person might choose, but that car is going to have less maintenance cost. It's going to last them longer. The poor person that maybe doesn't have enough money to purchase that Toyota, they might buy a car that has more miles, that has maybe comes with a higher interest rate on the loan. And they're going to have to continually fix this car. And then maybe in 2, 3, or 4 years, that car breaks down and they have to buy another one and then another one, rinse and repeat, right? So again, this same principle of buying quality versus buying something that is more affordable, we're seeing correlate here over furniture, clothing, and vehicles. So this is the first way that I've observed that wealthier people are able to live more frugally than poorer people. All right, the number 2 thing is bulk purchases. So I'm a huge fan of Costco. Right? And the one thing I've noticed is if you have the funds, the initial funds, to spend a little bit more money up front and buy in bulk, you end up coming out ahead in terms of the overall cost compared to if you were having to go to like a convenience store or a gas station to buy these things, right? So if you are a lover of beer, for instance, if you go to a gas station, you're buying maybe a beer individually, right? Maybe that beer costs you $2, $3, $4. I don't know. if you were to go to Costco and you're to buy a 24 pack of this beer, maybe the beer costs you $1 or maybe less per unit, right? So being able to buy in bulk is a more frugal choice, but people that don't have the funds to do that up front are not able to do that. And so they're having to buy things more individually, which at the end of the day costs more money. If you're liking this video, or if you're enjoying this video, I would love it if you liked it and also subscribe to the channel. I'm posting anywhere from 1 to 2 times a week. And if you do subscribe, it will notify you whenever I post a new video. So thank you so much. And then lastly, if you are a beginner or even an intermediate or experienced investor that's looking for an easy way to invest, I've personally used Acorns for 5 to 6 years. I personally use the recurring investment piece where I can just set automatic investments every week or month or day if you want. But they also have a cool feature where you can round up every transaction on a particular card to the nearest dollar and have the spare change invested into an investment account. I think it's great. It's been a great vehicle for investing for me. If you'd like to try Acorns, you can click the link in the description. When you sign up, you get $5 added to your account absolutely for free, and I get a little kickback as well. All right, and lastly, wealthier folks, and this kind of deviates from what we're talking about a little bit because people that don't have quite as much money can also have a good credit score. However, wealthier folks with a good credit score are often more eligible for lower interest rates, whether that's on a mortgage, on a credit card, on a personal loan, or on a vehicle, right? So the folks that kind of have their personal finances more in order get a lower interest rate, which means they pay less to borrow money. On the flip side, somebody maybe not with as much money or not as a high credit score, they're going to pay more for the same dollars that the wealthy person is borrowing, which at the end of the day is more money coming out that they're paying to the person they've loaned or the company they've borrowed this money from. So again, we see a correlation, right? Folks that have their money in order, maybe have a little bit more money, at the end of the day come out ahead compared to somebody with not as much money, with not as much financial savvy, we'll say, might come out. So I hope this video was enjoyable to you. I hope it was of value to you. Again, I just wanted to give you kind of a comparison between the things that the wealthier folks and the people that are more financial savvy, the decisions they're making and the opportunities they have in front of them, as opposed to the folks that maybe don't have quite as much money, that aren't as financially savvy have in front of them. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and we will talk very soon.